Hello and welcome to the On the Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Everyone knows why it's Friday night, because Friday night is horror night, ladies and gentlemen. And tonight I'm joined by a new up and coming horror star who has been cast in one movie that I've been extremely looking forward to, and I've made it quite public in the Mutilator 2. And he's been cast alongside friend of the show, Anna Clary, in The Woodman as well. Welcome to Mr. Dan Grogan. How are you, sir?
Good, great. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be
Th-
here.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come on.
Absolutely.
I know it's still afternoon time for you,
All right, it's early for me. It's happy hour
not
for me, actually.
happy hour is always happy hour. There's happy hour somewhere.
Right?
Uh, so how are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Staying busy. Staying
That's
busy.
a good complaint.
Absolutely, right? No complaints there.
Well, must be keeping busy if you've just been cast in a new up and coming movie.
Yeah, this was exciting. I was kind of excited to jump on this project. Joshua Brucker has done several found footage horror films, some that are coming up to be released soon, Mothman and one called Wendigo. So they all have these kind of things. And then this one is
I,
kind of, go ahead.
anything with the Wendigo is kind of piqued my interest.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're actually doing this whole all through October, like a festival that you can kind of stream like three of his original ones
Oh,
um, through Horror Dad's Productions. And they're all going to kind of tie in together, I think, too, which is kind of exciting. It's kind of cool.
I must
Uh,
have a look into that now. I hadn't heard of any of them coming out now, but anything with a Wendigo will pique my interest.
yeah, that one I think is ready to come out. The Mothman is coming out in this month. I think it's premiering at the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, Virginia.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
so and then they're going to tie them all in together that way. But it's a great project. It's kind of set up in the Appalachian Mountains, kind of has that like Wrong Turn or Hills Have Eyes kind of vibe, but it's a found footage. Plus, bonus, I get to work with Anna Clary, who you already know, and
Friend of the
she's
show, yeah, great
absolutely
girl.
amazing. So, get to work with her again after working with her on Mutilator 2, which was a
Well,
blast.
see the way you link that to Wrong Turn. So
No.
anybody that knows this show knows Wrong Turn's my favorite film franchise,
Okay,
like
nice.
horror franchise.
Okay,
It's not one of the big ones for me, but once anything's like that, I'm all in.
absolutely. And in fact, a couple of the guys from Mutilator 2 were uh, played some of the Farrell family in Wrong Turn, the newer one. So
Yeah, the foundation. Yeah,
yeah.
no, we had Jeff on the show, Jeff Seaman,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and he
Great.
was telling me he actually got to play a part in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, awesome.
I'll have to
I
look
was
for
so
him. I don't
jealous.
remember seeing him in that, but I'll have to check it out.
He says it's the part, when the girl whose name I can't remember is put into the hole with the spikes in it. He's the
Okay.
one that puts her in.
Oh, okay. I'll definitely have to check it out now.
Yeah,
No, but
it's. I was pleasantly surprised with that one. But yeah,
you like it.
anything like that kind of movie, I'm all in. So I'm all in for this one, especially
Absolutely.
being a found footage.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's something I've always wanted to kind of play into. As you noted at the beginning, I'm kind of new to the horror genre. I did some other stuff like the Hallmark movies and things like that before commercial work. And when I got cast in Mutilator 2, it was it kind of just, I mean, I've always loved horror movies as a fan, but I didn't realize how much I was going to love like acting in a horror movie. So, and it's like the crew and the cast become like a family unit together. It's you definitely get connected, and the people you've met that I've met from it has been fantastic. So
Like, there's a question for you, right? Just you're saying you're new to horror there, so you've done the Hallmark Christmas stuff and things like that. Did you find it easier going into a horror movie or going into one of those kind of happy Christmas movies?
for, probably the horror movie, just because I feel it's just it's a little more, it's just more fun, and because it's not real, you can kind of, I don't know, the other ones, they tend to play into too many feelings. I guess the feeling of fear and anger is easier for me than fear of love and happiness. I don't know. I just, yeah, I know. I think horror was actually easier for me to get into. Plus, I think it was the people surrounding it. They all are kind of like you and your group and like me. They have a passion for horror, so everyone
Yeah,
is there because they want to be there. They love it. And, you get on some of these other sets, and they're just doing it to get a paycheck, or they don't really care about it. The story's crap, or that you get some diva actor or something like that. But I've yet to see that on any horror set. So
yeah, like that. It seems to be that way that you see a lot of sort of up and coming talent start in say it mightn't even be high end horror. Like if you think back to Critters 3 had Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
right,
Do you know what I
absolutely.
mean? Leprechaun had Jennifer Aniston.
Hmm.
Things like that. You see them build from horror. It seems to be where everyone tries to go into early.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I agree. I agree with that. What is that? Midnight Meat Train. I think with Bradley Cooper in that. I think.
the Vinnie Jones one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's just called the Meat Train, I think here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So I agree with you 100%. I think you see a lot of bigger celebrities who've made it out of there, but I love the celebrities who go back and kind of honor their origins too, like Jamie Lee and all that, and they kind
Yeah.
of go
Oh,
back.
absolutely.
Even like Felicia Rose from Sleepaway Camp, she's
What a,
always doing
what
something. So
what a lady. What a lady.
yep. So
We actually spoke about that on one of the previous shows, like how good it was to see her back in horror again. Obviously, she taking a break and whatnot. Now I know she was continuously working, but to go back into horror and seem to be doing movie after movie now is
fantastic.
great.
Absolutely. There's one she's working on now. I think it's called Watchdog.
Yeah,
Um,
with Elsie Holt,
yeah.
we
And
actually had we
I'm
had
so
Elsie on
excited,
there.
very excited to see that film. So
We had Elsie actually told us about it when we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago.
excellent. Cool.
He's a top bloke.
Yeah, he is. I saw him. Well, from there it goes kind of 6 degrees back to Jeff Seaman in Terror Trips, um,
Which is
and
also another movie that I'm waiting to see, but we don't have a European release for it yet.
oh, it's brilliant. It's really good. I was really impressed with it actually.
I see that is actually dropping tonight in some horror festival that he's doing.
Yeah, like they're doing like a midnight showing, I think, of it
Yeah,
tonight.
I can't remember the name of the horror fest. Sorry, Jeff.
No, I can't either. Sorry, Jeff.
But yeah, no, but like the likes of seeing people like that go back is great. Obviously, we had, as you says, Jamie Lee going back Halloween,
Mhm.
but obviously she came back for H2O, which we spoke about before the show was absolute dog shit. No offense to Jamie Lee, she was good in it, but the movie was terrible.
Right.
Um, but to come back in 2018 and
Oh,
sign on to do 3 movies to finish the thing was brilliant.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm just shy of just saying I'm waiting for one more Nightmare on Elm Street to come out now
Oh yeah.
and,
I think it'll
see if
happen.
they'll bring Nancy back in it in some way.
Yeah, Heather Langenkamp
But
is actually she was one of my I think I had a poster of her in my bedroom when I was a kid. She was one of my first crushes as a child. I had a thing for her big time.
I
She
was
was
that
very
was my first ever horror movie, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, was it? Nice.
Yeah, 11 years of age or 12 years of age.
That's awesome. Mine was Halloween, and that's why I kind of love that franchise. I think it's because it kind of got me started in it. And then after that, that's when I kind of like during the 80s, I kind of went backwards and kind of looked at some of the older horror movies, like, yeah, I got into like Romero's stuff and like that. And
Far ahead of its time.
oh my God, yeah. And like Rosemary's Baby, and like one of my favorite from 1973, um, it's like Ganja and Hess. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's part of like it's
No.
kind of like a black exploitation film set. It was the same guy, Dwayne Jones, who was in Night of the Living Dead with Romero, uh, plays in it, and it's this a vampire kind of a thing. But this guy who I think Bill Gunn or he directed it, and it's this very experimental style like vampire film, and it's I loved it. I thought it was great. It was kind of crazy,
I'll
but then
take
again,
that. I'll take a list of that and give it a watch.
yeah, it's definitely different. It's but it's just I like if you look at it from a filmmaker standpoint, it's really good. And
Well,
then
I don't know. I know you checked out a couple of the shows, but we have a series on this where we go back. We went back as far as 1910
oh
and picked movies for people to watch from them from 1910 to
yeah,
1919. Like, and we're up now. We have to do 1970 as the next one.
okay,
But it was great going back watching some of the movies.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
And
and like
the
seeing
70s was a good one. 70s had good. Trying to think of a really good. I Spit on Your Grave was I think
Wes
like
Craven.
that. That's a good one. That
Uh,
was
well,
pretty.
obviously, like '70s, you've got Halloween, you've got Texas Chainsaw and things, but like
Yeah.
they obviously have to be in the list. And if they're not in the list, you'd understand they were trying to get movies that people haven't seen yet.
Right.
So that kind
Absolutely.
of way, but it'd be hard because Texas Chainsaw is Carl, one of my other co-hosts. It's one of his favorite films. That and American Werewolf are his two favorite films.
I always forget
So
about that, but I love that one.
he won't he won't let me do that list without putting it in. I'm
Good on
part of the other
that.
side. I'm part of the other side that thinks the '03 version is better.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Surely for one scene alone, the dinner scene
yeah. Yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
throws me out of the whole movie. Once the granddad comes back to life, that throws me out of the whole movie, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
But
I see that. I see that definitely.
but
And
no,
the 80s had good, and I like some of the 80s movies. I think I love April Fool's Day. Um,
it's so good, and
right?
it's one that slept on
Yes,
so much.
and that's a
Um,
and the guy who did that was who was also the guy who directed When a Stranger Calls from back in with Carol Kane back in like
oh,
in
the
the
original one.
yeah. And that movie, even though the rest I kind of slept through most of the movie, the first obviously 10 minutes is just a brilliant cinema in that. But that and after that it was like 90s horror all the way. I kind of, I grew up in the 90s. I was like I love like, Scream and all the, the faculty and all that
The
stuff.
Faculty is so good.
Right? It's almost a perfect movie to me. I love that. I love the
You know,
cast and
I don't
everything.
know. Have you seen Ravenous?
No, no, I'm
You haven't seen
not.
Ravenous? It's a
No,
1999 one with Guy Pearce and Robert Carlyle.
I love
Um,
this too, so I'll have to check
it's
that one
actually I'm not going to tell you what it is,
out.
um, but it's based in Civil War times,
Okay.
and it's
Interesting.
just wait when you watch it, you'll see Robert Carlyle. It's Robert Carlyle at his best.
Ravenous. Got it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
definitely
on
check.
Disney Plus if you have Disney Plus.
Always looking for new films to
Yeah.
catch. That's awesome.
But as you says there between like the 80s, obviously Mutilator 1 came out in 84
Right, right.
and was so good. Like
It was, and I
it's one of
caught
the
that later. I didn't actually catch it when it first obviously when it first came out, but I caught it later, and it when I had applied when I had auditioned for Mutilator 2, I didn't make the connection at first, and then when I
oh
got there, and they had the poster, the original poster, by Pick by X by that the whole bit.
yeah.
I realized, holy shit, I know this movie. That pool scene was hysterical to me. Well, epic. It was.
So I didn't know there was a second one coming out,
Mhm,
and obviously someone that we spoke about off camera, yeah, Eva Hamilton put it up on Instagram, and
mhm.
I was like, no, I was like it couldn't be. So I had to go and find out. I went did a bit of digging. I commented underneath it, and she wrote back and was like, yeah, no, it's a sequel. And I was like, holy shit. Like normally I'm on so many horror pages that never normally much things get by without me seeing.
Right.
But when I found that out, I was like, oh shit.
And I'm excited. I'm just as excited, I think, as most of the fans are for it too. I was surprised to see how many people really. There really is a big following for the Mutilator franchises, for their
Yeah.
franchise. I say one movie, but as it's now coming out with a sequel, it's and Bud Cooper did a phenomenal job casting this. The man, like Eva Hamilton and Anna, and there's just some, Terry Kaiser, and just having some of these, Chaney Morrow and Damien and all these people that are in the industry, and um, they're just some really talented folks in there. It's going to be the death scenes are going to be amazing if there are.
There's like looking at some of the lists there that you said, obviously you had Damien and Cheney Morrow and stuff. They all kind of tend to stick together into movies now,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's great when you see that because obviously back in like the 50s and 60s you had Christopher Lee and um oh, like obviously you had Christopher Lee and Vincent Price and stuff,
right.
um and like they work quite well.
Hmm.
Um, and like when you have somebody that have good chemistry with, like if you're cast in a movie and you know
Right.
you have to play alongside somebody, why not be someone that you actually get on with?
Absolutely. I think they
You know,
were
can I?
joking that they get to actually have a scene together where they actually have a conversation where they're actually not some killer or some, face mask than from some other movie. Because we were taking a break. They told me like they're like, oh, you gotta check out this film we did. It's Haunt,
Haunt
and
was so good.
I was blown away, man. I was like thinking, oh, okay, some little, inky dink little thing. I'll give it a shot. And man, was I impressed. I really love that. It's definitely up in my top 10 now. I've
Yeah,
actually,
it was very well done, wasn't it?
yeah, it was great. So, although what is
Um,
A24, is that the film?
A24, yeah.
Man, anything they do, I'll watch. I'm kind of like, I love their indie stuff.
I
Not
was.
all good. Not that everything they do is good, but I will. It's definitely different enough that I'll watch. I mean, Midsummer I really liked.
Oh no, I didn't.
Did not like that. See, I
Didn't
loved it.
like didn't like Midsummer or Hereditary.
I wasn't a fan of Hereditary in there, and I love Tony Collette, but I was not into that at all. I But I did
Yeah,
like the girl who played the lead in Midsummer. Man, she captivated me. She was great in that. So
obviously Witch. The first time I watched that, I didn't like it, but I've said on the show like I watched it and like the doorbell went and the
right.
landlord came around and stuff. So I was kind of in and out of it. And then when I rewatched it, I actually watched it, put my phone off, watched it in the dark, and it was just unreal.
Yeah, it is one of those movies you kind of have to give your full attention
Yeah,
to.
it was brilliant. And then obviously they absolutely nailed it out of the park with X this year.
Oh my God, yes, that was.
Oh,
I had a fun time. I just had fun. I was so tense, and there were some moments I was just so disturbed. But ultimately, I had a fun time with that movie. It was a good movie. And I hear that.
Ty West is brilliant.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I
Yeah,
will not agree with you on that at
he
all.
like I've been a fan of Ty West since he done The Innkeepers back in 2011. Then obviously House of the Devil was just top drawer.
I really like the Innkeepers. A lot of my people
Again,
didn't
it didn't it
do
wasn't
well,
well received.
but I dug it. I thought it was great. I thought it was well written, and I liked the characters.
Yeah, the development of the characters in it was so good.
Right, and I think that was kind of what people missed. You needed that, and it was,
Yeah,
but
'cause
but I I really
I
liked
worked
that.
in a video shop when that came out, and obviously I recommended it to people because I'd seen it,
Hmm.
and people were coming back on that's shite, this, that, and the other, and I was like, all right,
All right.
okay, yeah. But obviously he nailed it out of the park with X this year,
Yeah.
and then
Uh,
Pearl is due out, I think, the end of the year. Now the
mm,
only issue I have with that
mm.
um, is that they've recast Mia Goth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think she's going to play a younger version of the old lady,
Oh, okay. All
which
right.
is the only downfall I can see. Now I might be wrong by that, but she seems to be the lead in it,
Hmm.
and it's based around the old lady. So I'm kind of like, well,
So it's gonna be, it's kind of like a prequel then, right?
yeah,
Is
it's a
that
prequel, yeah.
cool?
Now I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna watch the shit
Oh,
out of it.
absolutely. You gotta have it, well, sequels. I don't have like my expectations for sequels, about here. So it's I never have like a full, but I'll go into it, watch it and see what it
Well,
comes out.
we're kind of getting sidetracked here off your
Yeah.
movies.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like so,
Um,
obviously everyone like we were talking about the Woodman, and then ended up getting drawn back because we went into wrong turn and everything else. So I know there's not much information out about the Woodman yet.
right. We
And obviously you can't tell us too much anyway.
can't give you too much away, but other than it's found footage, it'll be we'll be shooting it up in the Appalachian Mountains in the spring. It's kind of a small cast, which is great. So it gets to really focus on our stories, and like I said, it's going to be a thrill working with Anna again. I'm thrilled to be working with Joshua. He's got some good stuff out. Like I said, Wendigo, check it out definitely when you can.
100%.
And hopefully this will lead into other things. I'm noticing that there's definitely, when I connect with these people on social media, it's like, oh, you have 40 friends in common, you have 30 friends in common, and you start building these relationships with people, and provided you're not a total douchebag on set, you kind of can hopefully build relationships and do other things. And
absolutely. And then obviously we briefly touched on you working on the Mutilator 2 as well, which I can't wait for.
Not wait for Mutilator 2. Mutilator 2 was probably the most fun set I've ever worked on. Half of the cast came from like Cincinnati, Ohio. They all had worked together on other sets, and I mean the crew, not the cast, sorry. And I've never met a crew that was so connected to their cast. I mean, everybody was just so, most of the stuff when you're on set, and most of the time they tell the cast or the crew not to mingle, and they keep them separate. Yeah, and they keep separate. This was just a totally different vibe. And the producers, like Jeff Seaman, was, man, he handled shit like nobody else's business. He was great with that. And Ann Hale, who was one of the other producers, they just had their shit together. They were amazing to work with. And I can't say enough about the cast. There's definitely, like I said, Eva, Anna, there's Emily, all the females in the cast, all the girls who were on the show are definitely top notch. They've definitely got a career ahead of them. And it was so great working with Bill Hitchcock and Ruth, because it's
amazing to see Bill come back as well.
Bill is one of the funniest guys I'll ever meet. He's hysterical, and it was just so great seeing. I was kind of starstruck. I was just like, it was great seeing them. And Buddy was just amazing. Buddy Cooper is amazing. He's kind of like, it took me a while to realize like the connections of certain things, like his son's the mayor of Atlantic Beach, and his cousin is the governor of North Carolina. So they're kind of like mafia. They kind of run the state, which is awesome.
In real life.
Yeah, they're
Jesus.
very well connected. So it's awesome. I had no idea.
It's great.
Yeah, but he's amazing to work with.
It's great to see them keeping true to the original one.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of way, same director. Like you could say, take you for instance, a fan of the original one, and you become a director, and you're like, do you know what? I'll have a pop at doing number 2, and you go well away from it, and people are like, the fuck is that?
Exactly. No,
I mean, you've seen it in horror films before, where people come back and do a second one, and you're like, it's got nothing to do with the original, and you're like, why bother?
And for anyone who is a fan of the original, I certainly won't give anything away, but there are so many Easter eggs in the sequel that original fans are just gonna love. It's amazing. So what? I'm excited thinking about it.
You saying that, Jeff Seaman told me the exact same thing.
Oh, did he?
He says, wait till you see, and if you really look, you'll find them.
I mean, it's insane how many. It was so brilliantly done, and they were all placed so well, and it's great. It was just, like I said, the experience was beyond unbelievable. So I look forward to the outcome, to see how it comes out, and look forward to working with these guys again, hopefully. So.
I know Mutilator 2 is going to have at least one view, me.
Good. Yeah, me too. I hope. I'll watch it maybe.
Yeah. Like, would you watch movies with yourself in it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, not because not for the ego or narcissism, but more for like, okay, what could I fix, or what could I do better next time, kind of a thing. Yeah. I've never watched myself in anything and be like, oh, that was a great performance. No,
well done, me.
Well done. No, it's always been like, crap, you should have done. Why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that? But it's still fun to see it. So
I think that's how you make yourself better as well.
Oh, absolutely.
To sit and watch yourself on screen going, I didn't like that.
Because if you don't, you're never going to know if you know, you're not going to improve if you don't. And I think that comes from my theater background. I've always been kind of, you know, I love when they film our shows on stage so I can go back and watch it and kind of learn from that as well. Um, and I don't do musicals. I'm not that kind of a theater performer, but I do like comedies and dramas and stuff like that. And actually, North Carolina is just getting its first. It's called Postmortem Productions or Postmortem Players, and they're doing all like macabre and like dark pieces, which I'm really excited about. So they're kind of doing horror theater, which is pretty cool. So
I wouldn't be a big horror theater. I wouldn't be a big theater guy. Sorry, not. I was going to say big horror guy, but yeah, that makes sense. No, I wouldn't be a big theater guy. There's a few shows that I'd like to have seen. I would have liked to have seen The Woman in Black because I heard it's great on stage.
yep, that it is a really for a show to scare people. It takes a lot because it's live, it's you know it's on stage and all, but that show actually scares people, and that's something. It's a good show.
No, and as for musicals, Sweeney Todd would be the other one.
Sweeney Todd's a great one.
Yeah.
I can't sing, so I will never be doing a musical, but
Yeah.
nobody has to sit through that. But but there's definitely some darker pieces though that are out there that are pretty. I did Frankenstein last year, and their theater company here is doing Dracula this year and all.
Who did you play?
I was actually the ship captain in that, who Dr. Frankenstein recounts his tale to. It's a great character because they're kind of like the same. It's deep. It's meta, but it's a great character.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills, but it helps if you like it.
Absolutely. You know, and as long as I can do theater or film, I'm golden. That's what I love to do. So.
And then you have one other movie that this will be the one that's due out before the other two. In Orion, would that be right?
Yes, Orion. Interesting piece. Orion is.
I couldn't find any information on this really.
No, the guy is David Feznik his cinematography is great. He's brilliant. He's got a couple good pieces. He does a lot of short film. This piece is actually a short film about flat earthers and them trying to convince people that the earth is flat. It's a very interesting piece. I'm the skeptic in the piece. I'm the one that obviously does not believe it's not converting people to that way of thinking at all or anything like that. In fact, it's more like I'm not converted at the end, let's put it that way, but it's an interesting look inside the mind of those people. So
I mean, each to their own.
I'm not gonna absolutely. I clearly do not believe the earth is flat, but
if you want to believe the earth's flat, go right ahead, but I'm not believing that for nothing.
No, but like you said before, whatever you got to do to pay the bills. So I take on some roles that are different, and but it was an interesting piece, and it was well filmed, and it really looks good. It's a fun little short. It's great. The other one before that, I think We Survive was another one that's on my IMDb. It's kind of like they put it together like as a pilot episode to sell, and it kind of has a Purge vibe to it. If you took the Purge, I like to say if you took the Purge and the Mist from Stephen King and mixed them together, it's kind of along that lines. So it's kind of like in a time when the Purge is kind of, or they called it something different, but if that has been going on for some time, and then except this one particular time after it ends, there's some sort of biochemical warfare that had happened that made people more like aggressive, and more so it doesn't end at the end. They keep going. So there's no end of the Purge. It was an interesting piece of work, but
I'll try and find it somewhere to check it out.
I don't think it's out yet. I don't think it's been picked up yet. They were a couple people have been looking at it, but I don't think it's been picked up yet. So
I won't find it though.
I won't find it yet, but I'll keep you posted if anyone picks it up.
Yeah.
So, And then
hopefully for yourself and obviously the director and stuff that it does get picked up. It sounds like quite an interesting concept.
yeah, it's different. They want to do it as like a TV series or at least a web series to begin with, and they'll see where it goes from there. Because it's basically set on the four teenagers that are remaining, whereas we were the four parents, and we kind of leave them after the purge to kind of go investigate, and we get chased off, and you kind of don't see us for the rest of the season. But the second season, we would come back, and you kind of find out what happened to the parents when they left. So
Oh,
kind
right, yeah.
of, so I like the concept. A really smart young girl who wrote it. So I was like, it was interesting. It was definitely a fun project to work on.
I mean, we've seen web series come out in the past that have blown up to be huge. Obviously, Cobra Kai being the biggest of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everyone forgets that started on YouTube.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Absolutely.
like, it shows you what can be done. The power of YouTube is phenomenal.
Yeah. Social media and all that now,
Yeah.
it's all
To me, it sounds like a very interesting and original kind of concept.
It's good. It was. We'll see where it goes from it. You know, and in the meantime, if you know, I did self tapes out the ass this week for like 6 or 7 different movies and stuff. Three horror, and then 3 were just kind of regular. But
I mean,
you know,
you've got to do what you have to do.
absolutely. And we'll see if I can't get in a couple of. So.
I mean, like if you look at it, like even Kane Hodder has done other movies that aren't horror. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not shaming any kind of non-horror movies. I just
no.
Mutilator too. I really do enjoy them, and I kind of love that genre. I think at first it's a genre I would have stayed away from because I was thinking it's for young guys and young girls to kind of get involved in, and I'm kind of middle-aged, but surprisingly there's a lot of characters in my age range in horror movies nowadays. I can play priest, detective. There's so many different characters that I can go down. In The Woodman, I'm playing an anthropologist. So it's a lot of fun to kind of get
the older you get, the different kind of characters you can play. Like if you take, like, say Anna, for instance, she's young. You can't have her as like the head of NASA or anything.
Right.
So that's no offense to her. That's saying she couldn't play it, but
like when they did Nicole Kidman, God love her, I adore Nicole Kidman, but they had her as some nuclear physicist in some movie with George 20 years ago, and it was like I just don't buy it. I'm sorry, I'm not even buying it. But
like even what was it in Dante's Peak at the start? His Pierce Brosnan's girlfriend was only about 24, 25, and she was the head of the Volcano Association.
Like, sure,
and you're like, what? So what should do? Survive 52 volcano eruptions to get to the best? No. They're the slight mismanagement of cast that can kill movies.
Right.
And as I said, I'm very easily thrown out of a movie. Like as I said, obviously Texas Chainsaw, the dinner scene throws me out. American Werewolf in London, the Nazi werewolves coming in shooting everything throws me out.
Yeah.
So that kind of way. So like seeing something like that.
It just takes one character or one bit, and that's it. It's kind of
like even in X, the alligator scene.
I know exactly. I knew where you were going with it.
It could have been done so much better, and you knew it was going to come because of that scene where you see her and she's floating on the lake, and you see the gator coming over.
Yeah.
So you knew someone was going to get killed by the alligator.
Absolutely, it was.
But, like the way they should have done that was when she was in the water, would be for the gator to just pull her under rather than try and go up over.
Right.
Which probably isn't realistic.
But but it's a horror movie though. You
have to see it. You know what I mean? You have to see it. Otherwise, you're left with the Scream conundrum going, well, did she die?
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of way. But just before we wrap up tonight, I did say to you there, maybe prepare your top 5 or top 10 horror movies. We'll go through them and see, and then I'll throw a few spitball questions at you, and then we'll let you go for the evening.
Sounds good. So Halloween is definitely one of my top 5, being that it is solely just because it was my introduction, my gateway to horror. And I speak only the original when I say this, not the whole franchise, but the
John
original
Carpenter's the GOAT.
1978. Yes. Um, then I would say I also love the Evil Dead 2, the second one.
Two.
Yes, the second one from
Ooh.
1987. I know. It's
I could see that. I could see it's that's kind of one of those ones that's like Terminator and Terminator 2. You can flip flop between 1 and 2 as to which one
well,
is better.
ultimately with Evil Dead 2, it was basically a remake of the first one. It just, it's like, oh, we
I
have
lo-
budget money now, so let's make a, better version of it. It's basically the same movie. It was just a little bit better, well done. Wrong Turn is the original one was definitely one of my top. Man,
Elijah
that
Duskill.
terrifies me. Um, One that terrifies me, and then the last two, like my top two, are because of how they made me feel. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my second to top, the original one, because of it looked like a snuff film to me. It felt so real, and I think that's what ultimately when I realized like my first two movies that like you get like I love Poltergeist and I love all the like Insidious and all these kind of movies that like deal with all these kind of supernatural
Demons.
things, but when it comes down to it, movies about things that could really happen is what really terrifies me. Which is why my number one is The Strangers, the original Strangers with Liv Tyler. Uh,
Scott Speedman.
Man, house invasion movies that just terrify me and the fact that the thing that still gives me goosebumps is the very end is why when she's asking why and they say because you were home. It was just there was no motive, and that was like all movies have like even Halloween he has like some psychological trauma in the background. He comes back to kill again, but to have no motive is terrifying, and I think that's what really scares me about that movie. So The Strangers is my top horror.
Yeah, The Strangers. I remember going to see that in the cinema, and I was sitting there going, "This is absolutely dirt," because you know
Yeah,
how slow it builds into it.
yeah.
And then I was sitting there, and you know the scene where she's looking. I think she's looking at the telly or something, and
Mm-hmm.
the one's just standing behind her. And I was like, "Oh shit, they're already in the house."
Yeah.
So you just don't see it coming.
Yeah, no, and even just the the anxiety that I had when and I knew she was going to do it when she shot the innocent guy, thinking of it, because I totally felt that. I felt that it's like I would be that person. I would be the one that it was so full of terror that somebody's coming in my house that if I saw a shadow walking down the hall, I would shoot at it without even thinking, and it would end up
But
being somebody that I know. It's like that.
that's human reaction, though, isn't it?
So I think it was built in there. It was brilliant. I just thought it was so well done.
No, I will say I haven't seen the second one. I just
It's okay. And I love Damien because he's in it, but
yeah.
the man with the bag, and he's fantastic in it. And there's some great moments in it, but it certainly does not have the same feel. I think most of the second one, I was left thinking, oh, they could have gotten out of this if they did this, or why are they doing that? If they had just done this, they would have done. It was like there was a lot of
Holes.
out of it. Yeah, a lot of holes in it for me.
Um, like it was a random one to come out, wasn't it? As well, it just kind of fell.
Yeah, it was like, boom, there it is. But
Oh,
he was great. The killers were actually really menacing in that one. They focused, I think, a lot on them in there, which is why I'll give it some redeeming qualities, but ultimately it was not.
I heard it's definitely watchable. I just
Oh,
every
absolutely.
time I go to sit down, I'm like, do you know what? I'll go and watch Big Trouble in Little China, or I'll go and watch They
Oh,
Live,
that's
or
a man. That's a
you
great
know
one.
that kind of way. Like I up until a couple of years ago, I was always a Wes Craven was better than Carpenter, but
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
I was really wrong. Um, Even in terms of just horror alone, I think I had a lot of allegiances to Wes Craven due to Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff.
Yeah,
It's obviously my number one horror film.
nice,
It's the first one I've ever watched. It's still there. I have a Freddy Krueger tattoo on my arm,
fantastic.
which you can't really see, but
Nice.
um, so that kind of way, it's amazing. and then obviously they fall in, and the rest of them can kind of flip flop around. But number one has been number one for 20 years now.
Yeah, well, there absolutely. That's a brilliant film anyway. It's definitely one of my top ones too. It's great.
It's like I can still remember, like my parents used to say to me, they're like, "There's two movies you can't watch. The Exorcist was one,
Uh-huh.
and Nightmare on Elm Street was the other one." And I snuck down the stairs to watch it. And in Ireland, we had it as on a Friday night. It's the reason we put the show out on a Friday night, is because after the Watershed, they used to play a horror movie on either Channel 4, Film 4, or we had a channel called TG4, which was an Irish channel, but they used to play English movies and stuff, or movies in English, not English movies.
Right.
And it was on that. But I remember sneaking down, and I'd missed the first sort of 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
And I came in, the scene when he's like this in the laneway.
Oh yeah.
And that's the very first scene I seen of it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm all in.
That's great. I love it. I love hearing people's origins into horror, like how they got started into it. So it's like, like for me, Halloween, you for Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that's great.
But like I must have seen Nightmare on Elm Street probably easily 200 or 300 times.
Oh yeah, it's
absolutely. If it's on, I'll watch it. If it came on the next day, I'd watch it again. Like, for instance, me, the wife, and the kids were on holidays there in the summer, and we were in the hotel room, and we were going to bed, and I was watching the telly, and Jaws came on. Right, so I was flicking through the channels, and I seen you one getting dragged through the water, and I was like, "This is Jaws." I says, "I'm in." It was 12:30 at night. It was starting, and I sat there and watched it. Right, and we get up the next morning, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to the beach," and I was like, "I am, yeah."
Yeah.
And later on that night,
you let your kids watch horror movies?
No, my kids are too young yet.
Okay.
Well, the oldest one is 11, so like if her mammy lets her watch them, so be it. Like she lives with her mammy.
That's how old I was when I watched Halloween. Actually, it was about.
Yeah, I was about the same. I was either 11 or 12 when I watched the thing, but the young fella's 6, so not quite. And the baby is 3. Now I have watched, like we went to the premiere of the new Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice.
Back last October, and we brought him with us. And he loved it.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
Now, this one was a lot scarier than the original 2.
It really was. It was good, though. I enjoyed it, actually.
But I was sitting here one day, and I was actually texting the lads the other lads that are on the show. And I said, you've won a parent, and when your then 4-year-old comes up to you and goes, "Daddy, can we watch Ghostbusters?" Because he picked out my DVD and was like, "Can we watch Ghostbusters?" Yes. Do you know what? Yes, we can.
That's awesome.
So I'll throw a few spitballs at you, and then we'll call it a day. So, favorite horror actor?
Favorite horror actor? Actually, I'm gonna have to go with Jamie Lee on this one. With Prom Night and Halloween, she's just in so much.
She is the final girl, really, isn't she?
Yeah, she really is for me. She's it. But yeah. So.
Yeah, you'd be right up there. For me now, it'd be Robert Englund. For
obvious reasons. See, man, to take what he did, and I think I saw some story or video about him doing when he took on the role. How that was not how they had Freddy written, and he kind of took on and created this character, and it was. I can't imagine anybody else doing it. It was so brilliantly done.
Well, there's one for you. Did you know he wasn't the original Freddy Krueger?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, they'd shot something like 5 or 6 scenes with somebody else, and they let him go then.
Well,
I mean, it's a good change.
Yeah, absolutely. They went with the right.
Because for me, he changes the slasher genre.
Mm-hmm.
He became the marketable name and face of horror, really.
Oh yeah, he's great. And he's been used in so many other things. There was did you see the Leslie Vernon the movie about
the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in that as the kind of Loomis character.
Who, Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in. I don't know whether you've seen The Wishmaster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
Yeah. They're sleepers as well. People miss out on them. They were brilliant. Like that first Wishmaster has Kane Hodder, Tony Todd, Ted Raimi.
Yep, got a great list, and I love anything Raimi's do, so I'm really with that. So
Yeah. So obviously, there's no point in asking your favorite horror film because you've already said Halloween.
absolutely.
What would your favorite subgenre of horror be? So, say creature feature, slasher,
Oh,
found footage.
I would say Supernatural. It's probably my
Ooh.
because I do like I think Poltergeist was growing up one of my favorites. It was one of those funny things too. Is I've always loved that movie, and especially like the pool scene when JoBeth Williams gets thrown down in the pool and she's coming out and all the skeletons start coming up and
The
uh,
real skeletons.
yeah, I know, right? Real skeletons. That just terrified me. I was like, ah.
Oh,
But when I was a kid, the scene when he's peeling his face off in the bathroom just horrified me.
it's bad, isn't it?
But I watch it now as an adult, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, practical magic, or practical effects. The the hands aren't in the right place for what it is. I mean, I totally take it apart now, being I guess maybe in film, but it lost all its charm as far as that goes. But I still love the concept. I still think it's one of the best, supernatural films that's out there. So
The remake was absolutely poison.
I've never seen it, luckily. So
Don't bother.
I was like, I can't do it. And I've heard they and I love Sam Rockwell, but I can't
It
do
was
it.
bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. Right. So in what in terms of recent paranormal movies, what would you say is your favorite, or what would you say was the best?
My favorite, as of well, it's not even that recent anymore, but I think I really liked Insidious when it first came out because I liked what they did with the sound and the music. It kind of brought me back to like the older, like one where it wasn't all about jump scare. It was all like if you turned the sound off, it wouldn't be necessarily scary at all. But having
Yeah.
the sound and the music with it was what did it, and I really liked that. Um, I like The Conjuring and some of and that kind of I like the storyline that they've done with that. So I kind of dug that as well. So I think those would be the two that I really
They,
like.
Joe, something. If you were to ask me that question, they would be the two that I gave you.
Nice,
Yeah.
sweet.
Insidious one was brilliant.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Obviously Patrick Wilson coming back in now to do Insidious 5.
Yeah, and so is Rob Robin. Is it Robin? What's her name? The first one from the Robin Byrne or whatever.
Oh, Rosie Byrne.
Yes, she's coming back for the new one too.
Oh, I know Patrick. I know Patrick is directing the new one.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
know. I didn't know if he was in it.
Oh no,
Um, but it's
I don't know.
based around.
Yeah.
I know it's based around Dalton is older and in
Mm-hmm.
college.
Okay, cool.
So I don't know whether Patrick's going to be in it or they're going to work it that he has obviously passed away or whatever.
Wow.
That's the only information I've gotten from it.
Okay.
From what I can
Yeah,
find.
I think Rose Byrne is coming back in some. I don't know if it's flashbacks or what, but she's coming back in some capacity. So
I wonder where we see Lynn Shay, considering she died in the first one and was in the rest of them.
yeah, I don't know. Possibly, probably. I wouldn't be
But
surprised.
the Conjuring for me was that's one legitimate movie that actually scared me because there was stuff that happened in it that I wasn't expecting. So like I always refer to the scene where they're playing hide and clap,
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
and you see her looking down the stairs, and you're fully expecting something to come up,
Uh-huh.
and the hands come from the side of her, and you're like,
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And it's something so basic.
Yeah. They
And
did a
like,
great job.
obviously when they had Bathsheba jump off the top of the wardrobe
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, that whole movie was perfect. The second one was good as well. The
Absolutely.
third
Yeah.
one, the
Yeah.
third one was okay. You could
But
tell that it wasn't
right.
the same.
But I like that at least they kept the continuity of it. So that
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm expecting probably one more of those, and then that'll be that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think Patrick Wilson's gonna hang around much longer.
No, he's about done.
Yeah.
So,
But I think with that then we'll wind it up for the evening.
absolutely.
Dan, it's been great to have you on, and it's great to just sit and talk horror and obviously about your
Anytime.
career. And anytime you want, you're more than welcome to come back to the show. Maybe the next time it won't be so much about you, but you can actually talk about horror that you like and stuff.
Absolutely, I would love to. That's great. So we'll keep you.
But this one was obviously about your career and some of your likes and interests and stuff.
And if there's anything new coming up, or if I'm working with anybody newer in the past, I will keep you posted. So
Oh, absolutely. If you have anything new coming out, we'll certainly throw up a post and stuff, and keep people informed of how it's going. And obviously, you have a friend walking around in the background there
yeah, my
who
dog.
has
My dog.
who
Well, I have
has
to take him out. He probably needs to take a dump. So
uh, Tombstone Ted. That's all Tombstone Ted's going to be looking for. Where's the pooch gone?
yeah.
Uh, but ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Friday night with On the Slab with myself and Dan tonight. And we'll finish it off the way I finish it off every other weekend or every other Friday night. In the words of the great George A. Romero, ladies and gentlemen, stay scared.